Starting.
Yeah, I'm working on it. I'm practicing the laugh.
Okay, we are good to go.
Cool. You go with something. All right. You all set?
Yes, it is recording. Okay.
Okay, cool. We'll go ahead and get the Central Park CAC meeting to order. Do you want to do a roll call or?
Yeah, just so we know who's online
Sure,
also.
sure. So in person, we have Thomas Murphy,
Courtney Orr, CRA manager.
David Hollis.
Travis Malone.
Ursula Odom.
and virtually we have, you want to say your name?
Danielle Joyce.
Who else is on that?
Steve Parks.
Matt Savra.
And B Parks.
Okay, and who's that?
And Carson Fox. Are you on, Carson?
Yes, I am.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
And then B Parks, and she'll talk about the first item.
okay, perfect. Do we have any public comments? Carson, do you have any public comments? Are you joining for just observing?
I'm just observing. It's to get
Okay.
extra credit in my classes.
Okay.
That must be a student.
Oh, no problem. Just want to make sure you didn't have anything in specific you wanted to talk about. Anyone else have any public comment? All right, we'll go ahead and go with the action item A, which is going to be approval of the August 2024 minutes.
Yeah, and I put a refreshed copy in there, so it just added some additional notes I found.
Okay.
Motion.
David has a motion to approve August 2024 minutes.
I'll second.
Okay, do we have any discussion for that? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, aye. Any opposed? Okay, we'll go ahead and approve the minutes. Go ahead and move on to presentation. Is that just there for a line item?
Yeah, our presenter is actually staff.
Okay.
So that's B Parks.
Okay, perfect. Then we'll go ahead and go on to line item 5, which is going to be manager staff report, CRA housing program updates. You want to go ahead and take over, B?
Yes, I'm about to share my screen, and please bear with me because I'm trying to do this in the car. So please let me know if you can see my screen currently.
We
Can
can.
you see my screen? Okay, perfect. All right, so hi everyone. I didn't get a chance to actually go through my presentation with you all concerning about the new CRA housing initiatives. I guess like we didn't have a couple of meetings, so I was unable to kind of go over what our plan is for the CRA housing program. So this instance is what I'm going to just briefly go over because we didn't really get to talk about it, and I wanted to provide updates just for everyone to kind of know what we got going on. So I'm not sure if everyone attended virtually or in person the February 29th meeting, which was a workshop from the City of Tampa's Housing and Community Development Department that, oh, okay. But I did share it. You still can't see it?
No, I don't know anybody else online if they can attest, but I can't see it. It says can't display content.
Oh, okay.
We see it in person.
Maybe it's
Yeah,
just me. Continue on, because Carson says she
okay.
can see it.
And I can provide this to you, Danielle. I could provide it.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so in February 29th, the Housing and Community Development Division had a meeting where they went over the housing initiatives to include CRA funding. So what is happening currently is that there's certain programs that are set to that did sunset, and there's certain programs that we're aligning with the housing and community development division. And one of those, a couple of those programs is the housing rehab program, and also the down payment assistance program, and also the city of Tampa's infill development program. So I'm sure you guys heard of this, but the city already currently has a rehab program, but we revamped it and now it's called Housing Rehab and Renovation Program, to include both renters and owner occupied units, and also down payment assistance, which now is available for all 8 of the CRAs. So that wasn't the case before. It was only available for East Tampa. So that's a great thing. And then in addition to that, we do have some lots that we could put out, mainly in East Tampa right now, but we could put them out in an infill program where developers can bid and build on those lots. So let me move forward. As you're familiar, we now have certain focus areas in the CRA. One of the focus areas is what we call attainable housing. And as you can see, we target primarily 80% AMI, but the CRA sweet spot, this is not no longer like a poor people's problem. This is a working class problem to be able to purchase and keep their houses. So we are the CRA mainly going to service that 120 to 140% AMI. That's where we stand as it relates to funding. So this is what I was mentioning to you before about the timeline of the implementation. So around 2022, 23 timeframe, you know, the administration came to the CACs basically and said, hey, could we get 30% of your budgets and earmark them for affordable housing? So that happened around that time. And then of course, around June of 2023, we had the official board retreat where, and also we had individual CAC housing workshops where, you know, you guys can express what you would like to see out of the program. So then the timeline, I'm just going to briefly go over it, moves forward to when I presented in June 13th to the board the initiatives and what we will be considered to be streamlined with housing and community development department. So that in a nutshell is the timeline. Then, so the priorities that came out of that February 29th meeting is that they need more support for homeowners and creation and preservation of units. So again, this provides the opportunity for us to support these from the CRA, because of course our mission is to, you know, of course we have to remove blighted conditions, and we only can contribute to brick and mortar locations because of course we have to increase tax base. So when they did a big audit of programs that we could condense with each other, pretty much support for homeowners and creation and preservation of affordable housing units is pretty much what we could provide assistance. And as you know, we have some money in that arena to spend. So that pretty much just gives you that funding that was allocated for that. Then the support for homeowners programs consist of what we're now calling the Housing Rehab and Renovation Program, and we're also calling it the Down Payment Assistance Program. So again, those is what program area will be considered support for homeowners. And as you can see, the CRA collectively, this means amongst all 8 of our CRAs, we're contributing roughly around $11 million for those efforts. And then moving forward to the creation and preservation, which is creating units. This is more of the developer subsidy side of our of the CRA housing. Of course, here, just like you see, The infill housing program is this will be the first launch for the CRA, and then we also have the unit creation and conversion. This means direct developer subsidy to create an affordable use unit or convert a unit over to affordable. And then strategic acquisitions. I'm not sure if you've been tuning in to CRA board lately, but they've been very adamant that they want for us to aggressively acquire parcels within this area. So it's very important that we start looking at things and going to make a plan for purchase. So those are those three programs under that program area. And then to just provide some background on the different type of residential programs that we had before. Again, our biggest residential area is East Tampa, but there's other areas with residential units. So in East Tampa, they had the emergency roof repair program, they had the tree trimming grant, and the owner occupied rehab program. And then in West Tampa, they had a grant that was called residential improvement, exterior rental rehab, and also a conversion grant. And then a down payment assistance was always there. Actually, that is one of the most successful residential components we have is down payment assistance. That works like a well-oiled machine, pretty much. So those 7 top grants have now been condensed to the one program that we'll be offering, and that's called the Housing Rehab and Renovation Program. And then, of course, you'll see right there down payment assistance, and then housing infill, unit creation, and strategic acquisitions. If you have seen your budget, you see that we align those budget line items to those programs. So again, just making sure that our budgets align with the program. So this is an ongoing thing about communication to the community, which we're hoping to go ahead and move forward with advertising positions to make sure that we can communicate this to the community. But we want to make sure to update the CACs, make sure to continue to update the website in our public platforms, post information sessions, recruit participants, advertise for any type of RFPs or RFAs, which is called request for applications, expend funds, and of course provide quarterly updates to the board, but also monthly updates to your CAC. The CRA board motion is basically to sunset all existing CRA housing programs, complete, the existing applications, adopt alignment with ACD programs, expand programs to all CRA districts, which did start on August 1st, and then provide quarterly implementation reports, which I'm going to be providing you all with reports effective FY25, which is January. And I'll list what we have in the pipeline or what we're trying to do. We have to look at Central Park creatively and kind of see how we could provide affordable units, but we are, identifying those now. So a little bit about the details. I'm going to pass this because this is kind of old data, but our rehab program is to assist current homeowners or property owners with repairs to their property. These include roof systems, electrical, plumbing, or HVAC systems, structural systems such as floors and walls, weatherization, accessibility improvements, water heater replacement, tree trimming, fencing replacement if there's one existing there. So there's different options. So again, for homeowners and property owners. So some of the eligibility requirements will include that the property must be located within the city of Tampa's limits and also the CRE district. Household income cannot exceed 140% AMI, and then property must be current on property taxes and mortgage payments. So some of the kind of just the the timeline of the process. New HRRP applications, that's the Housing Rehab and Renovation Program. That's just the acronym for that. Will be accepted via Neighborly. Paper applications are also available. It's the opposite. We started with paper applications. We did actually one community outreach meeting in Central Park. We actually had it at the Reed, where we sat there and collected applications from 9 to 12. We didn't get, of course, we didn't get any from Central Park. East Tampa actually was still coming to all of the different locations, but we did have one there. My goal is to, after we go through this first set of of applications that we received, which was 250, we will then identify some other areas that we need to do some more in-depth marketing too. Central Park will be one of them, along with West Tampa and Highland Heights in the East Tampa community. So the application timeline typically is completed 30 days from application to approval. Because of course we have to, provide communications to the community. Applications will be collected, applications will be processed, and then notifications will be sent to the clients on the next steps. And that's currently happening now. And then I just gave a snapshot of what I just said in the other slide about the process. So the applicant will apply through Neighborly, which we're helping them do that. And then our review period for the documents is typically about 10 days. And then we schedule an inspection where city staff, CRA staff, and also the contractor who is going to write our scope of services will attend the household meeting where they'll walk the property with the owner, and we will then make up a scope of services that's needed at that time with the homeowner. And then closing is scheduled, and then repairs are started and completed. So with this part of it, I just want to let you know that we are going to place liens on these properties for the amount of assistance that they receive. Okay, so the amount of years tied to the lien will be dependent on the amount of assistance that end user gets. So the maximum assistance that they could get to make these repairs is $100,000. So if they use all the $100,000, then there will be a 30-year lien that's placed on that property. So it's up to $100,000. We're not going to force people to fix things that is not needed. We are going to address concerns and make sure that we correct them and they're up to building code. So that's very important. So moving forward with the down payment assistance program. So the down payment assistance program will offer up to $50,000 to assist income eligible first time home buyers. So the potential buyer must begin the process with one of the 4 approved housing counseling agencies. And at the housing counseling agencies, they get prepped, looked at credit, all of that good stuff. And then the HCAs, that's what they're called, will provide education, complete application with the client, and then collect documentation. We already have relationships and agreements with these HCAs, so it's even better. They already been doing this for years. So the household income again has to be below 140% AMI, and then the minimum of $2,000 are needed from the borrower at that time. So they still need to put some skin in the game. So the down payment assistance program amounts and terms, they are on a sliding scale basis. So this has to be updated because we're not going to be able to assess anyone that makes 50% AMI or below. That's extremely low. And it's just we can't provide that level of subsidy to make those bills work. So we're going to look at just that 80% and above. So the 80% will receive the $50,000, which is the max. And then there'll be a tiered system after that. So the max assistance that a household of 140% AMI could receive is around 20 grand. So this could, this will work. But I said earlier, this is not a poor person's problem anymore. This is a working class problem. We have in the teachers, we have nurses, we have firefighters, we have public service individuals. You have police officers that do not even have this in their savings to even purchase a home. So when you say, wow, like 140% AMI is, higher than what is normally provided, it's still considered to be affordable housing. I just want to put that out there. So then I just did again the process, but I kind of explained this to you. So this was just something that I could put this presentation I'll provide for you to send to you guys. So again, the numbers do not lie. So the program income limit for a household of one, you see there, one person can make up to $93,000 a year to qualify for assistance. Again, a lot of individuals like, wow, that's they're making good money. But again, these people are not able to purchase in Tampa without any assistance. So we just have to kind of remember that. So to continue the rest of the CRA affordable housing initiatives, again, strategic land acquisition. Our goal is to continue to form strategic partnerships to increase attainable housing units, working with residential builders, owners within the urban core, to identify opportunities to create attainable housing, working with different organizations within the districts to partner in developing affordable housing solutions, and then any type of request for applications for funding in partnership with the HCD department. We will accept proposals for preservation or new construction of affordable rental housing. So again, we're open for business and we're taking proposals. So infill development is typically when we own a lot, and now we're putting it out to the community for the developers to now bid on those lots and then build and solicit and market to the end user. So we're working diligently with the real estate and planning department to screen all CRA owned properties and identify the best uses of those parcels. And then we're also working closely with HCD to develop requests for proposals for the CRA parcels. And then lastly, like we're looking at alternative forms of affordable housing development. We're continuing to look at ADUs, tiny homes, anything that the construction services has deemed, that we can build. We're looking to make sure that we can provide different type of affordable housing. So that was a lot. Understand. Any questions so far?
You mentioned tiny homes. Are those going to be tiny home communities, or they're changing zoning to allow for small houses?
Nothing really specific right now, Miss Ursula. I would say that we will always encourage communities to be built. So it's not just going to be like an individual. That's more of like an ADU that could be like individual like that. We're looking to see if we could partner and maybe make these pocket neighborhoods that will have more than one tiny home. That's just one option, and that's still going through like the city approval process when it comes to the building department. But what did get approved through city council, and also they have actually a building plan for, is the ADU, the accessible dwelling unit, which is an alternative form also of affordable housing development. So as of right now, when we put out a like a RFP out to the developers to build, we're looking to see what they're building out, and what could be actually built per the zone of that parcel. So it's a yes or a no answer at this time.
You said the down payment assistance forgivable after 20 years, right?
Yes,
What about the rehab? How long is that lien for?
that could be up to 30 years.
And what-
I did it. We just it's a tiered system. So if they get the maximum amount of assistance, which is at 100,000, they'll mandatory get that 30-year lien. But anywhere below that, the the lowest amount of years that will place as a lien right now is a 5-year term. So it's depending on the assistance amount. But I could provide you those. I didn't put those in the presentation.
Yeah, I was just more curious if, like, say somebody passes away, or say they need to sell the home or whatever. How does that work?
Okay. So if the person passes away, then what we'll do at that time, what the city will do is that the city has a mortgage servicing department, and they outsource their mortgage servicing through like National is this mortgage servicing company. And what they'll do is they'll then notify whoever is next in line, like a era of the property. And then what we'll try to do is we'll qualify that person. We'll look at their income to make sure that they're under 140% AMI. And if they are, then we'll just go through the process of, it's still the same. We'll just go through the process of switching over that lien information to that additional person, but the time will not change. So it'll just be now into that person's name if it's willed to that individual. So they will need to provide documentation that they did get that house through a will.
Sure.
Or a probate.
What if they don't want to keep the house? What if they want to sell the house? Like, say the mom dies, the kids are next in line. The kids don't want the house. They want to sell the house.
If they sell the house, they pay us back for what we put into the deal. They just have to pay us back.
Is that what you said?
You said what, Thomas? I'm sorry.
No, I said they pay you back whatever you put in then, right?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Exactly. And I'm trying to see is anyone talking in the chat. Okay, just making sure. But yes, they just have to repay back anything that we put in the deal. And for example, if the person is over the income threshold, then the city is not in the business of taking. We're not property managers, so we're not in the business of trying to take people's houses or trying to get take people's houses pretty much. So what we'll do at that time is contact that individual and say, hey, based off of what income you make, let's work out a flexible payment plan to pay back that assistance. But that hasn't happened in the 13 years I've been associated with the process. We ever had someone that's over income that has gotten these homes. Any other questions?
Not on this end. Anybody online? Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Pete.
No problem. And I want to say that after, just like I mentioned, once we because we got 250 applications, we're winding like 100 of them already got processed, and we're waiting for a couple of more. We're winding those down. We're going to do some marketing to try to make sure that we can get some individuals around the Central Park CRA. I know there's a couple of residential units there. We want to focus more on down payment assistance But we are, anything that you want to suggest as far as any lots that you might see that we can purchase to develop affordable housing, maybe any building owners in the areas, mainly, like Tampa Housing Authority in that area, but any people that own land that's willing to work with us to create affordable housing is what we're trying to
Yep, didn't we have Michelle Van Loan get us that like a couple months ago? What is in our boundaries and what the city owns and what is privately owned and all of that. So we should have that already done.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, I've been working with the real estate department with other deals, but I'll circle back to see what we could do. But it's definitely on our radar to make sure that each one of the CRAs has a project going.
Right.
Okay, if that's all, thank you guys. I don't want to take too much of your time. I'm gonna send this presentation to Courtney. I'm also gonna send over, I'm not sure if it's in your packet, but I'll send her over the down payment assistance flyer and also the housing rehab flyer so you guys can just disseminate throughout the community. And please contact me if you have any questions.
All righty, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I mean, just one side note, I'm thinking that, we discussed this before, there's only probably a half a dozen, would you say, residential habitable homes within our boundaries. So, is it more worth approaching those folks? I mean, kind of beneficial on that end because we don't have a ton of people like East Tampa where they've got tens of thousands of people. We have literally probably a dozen, you know what I mean? And I've brought this up before too, like I don't know if it's possible for us to be able to go and introduce ourselves or, as a group and explain this to them.
For
Homeowners for the rehab.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what BB has a 2 members with her on the team.
Yeah.
And so they're, coordinating those things to approach residents.
Because they're all pretty much in one little pocket. We have a lot of vacant land in ours, in our boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good for, later on down, they want to build homes and they can use the down payment assistance. But I don't really think that the down payment assistance is really going to benefit our particular CRA. I don't know what your thoughts are.
Right. There's hardly any residential.
Yeah. And I feel like the majority of them have been in those homes for quite a while. My other question, I just thought about this too. So like, say, Ursula owns a home here and she wants to get, the rehab on a roof or whatever. What if, is there someone, and I'm just thinking kind of on a real estate brain, is there someone that goes in there and says like, oh, like your foundation is way worse than your roof? You know what I mean? Because it's like, you don't want, I know the apprehension that a lot of people have had to this is they think that they're going to take their houses. You know what I mean? My neighbors have been really scared that they're going to take their houses. That's why 30 years is a long time, especially if you're 60 years old. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's like, I'm just apprehensive, I guess. I want to make sure that the people are understanding that who's going to prioritize what needs to be done.
Not when I first thought when I heard mortgage because if a certain group of people own their homes already and the assistance mandate the mortgage, then that's the process of losing their house in the way that some older people think.
Yeah, big time. And I feel like this other city programs where they were forgivable after wasn't it like 5, 10, 15 years? Like 30 years is a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, well, I wish B would.
No, like I said, I just wanted to brainstorm on it because it's hard to hear her. So I wanted to kind of just go through, pick your guys' brains and kind of think what you thought as well on that. But like I said, I've approached neighbors of mine that have been there for a long time and they're like, we don't want to lean. So I've told B before too, I think it would be beneficial if we could maybe get some folks who have applied for these and who have used them and were very happy to kind of explain that, to say like, hey, I understand it was scary. I was scared too. We did X, Y, and Z to our homes and we're so happy we did it. Because I think hearing from your neighbors in your community, that it does work and not just like, I think they're thinking like, oh, a bank and the bank's going to come in. And then if I make one slip up, then my house is gone. And that's scary.
Well, how are they amortized or not amortized? Aren't these soft, or do they actually owe the money back?
Yeah, those would have
I
been big,
think,
good
well, I think
questions.
it says in there that they don't after 30, but it's 20 years for the down payment assistance and 30 for the rehab. They don't owe the money back. It's 0% interest is what it says in here. That's a long time. You know, that's not 5-10 years. That's a long time.
So what, okay, yes. And since you're talking to one of those people who 30 years is a long time, I can understand that. But what is, okay, so they either pass away or they sell the property before that time. Then do they simply owe back a pro rata share of that? In other words, if they're 20 years into the 30 years, then do they owe back a third of what that advance was? How do they deal with that for older folks?
So the down payment assistance one or the rehab one? The rehab,
Rehab.
I think the rehab is just a set number. Like you go in and they give you, you know, you need a roof done, you need a
Right.
blah, blah, blah done, you need your windows done. It's X amount of dollars. I think
Right.
that's just a one flat one.
Based,
there.
based on how you asked the question and how she answered, they would get back what they put in.
Yeah.
So whatever that was.
I think that's gonna be one flat number. Mm-hmm.
Now, when you say they would get back, you mean the
Like if
people
they
that
sell-
issue the soft
CRA.
second, the CRA,
Mm-hmm.
when the people pass, let's just say that.
Sure.
When the people pass, their estate just, okay, they get $50,000
Mhm.
for hard improvements to their property, which improves their lives immensely. Because it's for hard improvements. It's a new roof, it's a new back porch, it's new wiring, it's new HVAC.
I think you're maxed out with the first two of 50,000.
Yeah, right, HVAC, maxed
Yeah.
out.
Uh-huh.
Okay, but whatever it is, so their property is enhanced in value. Their lives are enhanced in comfort or some other
Mhm.
word. It's a 30-year term. So they pass in 20 years. So do they owe back to the CRA that balance
I think the full amount.
if they live 31 years?
Then I think it's forgivable.
Well, it's, yeah. It depends, you know, the CRA can set whatever boundaries they want to set, but it would be a lot easier sell if it was on a pro rata
Mm-hmm.
type of a thing. You live 20 years
You can ask her that now.
and
Well, what I'll do when she sends me the presentation she just provided, I'll send it to the group and
Right.
then CC her so that you can, if you have other questions that generate when you're trying to fall asleep tonight and it's keeping you up.
No. Okay.
yeah, I won't have questions when it comes to fall asleep time.
But then you can directly respond to her because she's going to have the best answers for the
Yeah.
questions that you're
Right.
asking. But I'll CC her, line carbon copy you like I normally do, but you'll be able to see her in the CC line to respond with any follow-up questions like you're asking
Right.
because I just don't have the solid answer and I
Yeah.
don't want to.
Yeah, well, that's okay.
Guess.
I mean, we're just kind of brainstorming.
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of shoot some ideas
Yeah.
out of you guys.
Yeah, but getting flyers to each individual homeowner in the CRA area shouldn't be that difficult.
It's extremely easy. That's
Yeah.
extremely
Well, they're
easy.
doing a lot of outreach, so that's another thing I do. You know, where are they in the outreach right now? Because she has two individuals working for her, so I know they're getting
Yeah.
out in the community. I just don't know exactly.
Yeah.
Because, you know, particularly if they're older, you know, they may have a misunderstanding.
Big time. And
Like,
something,
oh, it's
my
vague, yeah.
experience, it wasn't even the older, it was the older neighbor's daughter. And she trusted her daughter the most, and the daughter said no. She wanted to do it, but
Right.
the daughter said no. So,
Yeah, so somehow we need to, first off, we need the answers on exactly how is that returned.
yeah,
So for instance, if they live 31 years
yeah,
and they sell their house,
yeah.
their estate gets the whole ball of wax,
Sounds like it.
which is fine.
Yeah.
I've got no
Yeah.
problem with that, actually.
Because you think that after
Because
30 years,
we
probably worn
also-
out again anyway, you know what I mean?
Well, we
Especially
also
a roof.
appreciated the value of the overall neighborhood
Right.
by helping these houses come up to either code
Mm-hmm.
and or, you know, safe comfortable lifestyle
Right.
for those senior residents.
Right.
So there is no downside to the activity.
Yeah.
But I would just say, like, I would like to know exactly how that was, because on a lot of down payment assistance programs, and they're varied also.
Mm-hmm.
So some down payment assistance programs are forgivable over a period of time.
Right.
They're forgivable 20% a year for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
There's a down payment assistance program that's not forgivable. It's a soft second, but when you sell your property, you owe back this is down payment assistance on a purchase. You owe back that hard amount of down payment assistance, which is, and the reason why that is then that creates an ongoing self-sustaining fund. So that down payment assistance is reinvested back into that pool. So when this house sells, even if it's 30 years from now, that $20,000, if it's $20,000, comes back into the pool, and now you have this huge snowball of money that's available ad nauseum forever, versus this, depending on the tip or however those funds are generated, this could have a finite end at some point in time.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of moving parts that would help it be a good program, and maybe there's several different programs. Maybe it's like, hey, this one, it's for free, but whenever it is you pass or your property is sold, you owe the hard money back, whatever that was.
Do you know how much we have on our budget for this?
I was gonna ask her if she could pull it up for
Okay,
me, because I don't have it, but
yeah.
it's been the 30% we've set aside for the last few years, so I'll look it up again.
Or we could even have like an impromptu meeting of this group as we get all the information back, instead of waiting until whatever the next scheduled meeting is. I mean, I've got a certain amount of flexibility built in my schedule.
That's right.
I mean, for this activity, I mean, I can't go to the beach necessarily, but we could have it at the beach, and then that way we would be at the beach.
Is there a beach in the CRA neighborhood?
There's got to be a beach.
Yeah, I'm sure there is.
Actually, there's Joel Journey thing, because about 3 days a week I do the walk, and I never knew about this till a couple of years ago. Where THA is there, Cypress and O'Brien. If you walk through that community park, there's an incredible beach out there. Sunset Beach, maybe, or something. I don't know what the name of it is.
Yeah, all the way.
As a matter of fact, if you walk from our building out there and back, it's 2 1/8 miles. But it's an incredible beach that nobody knows about.
Yeah, I'd like to look at the dogs there, right? Maybe.
Can you go fishing?
Yes. I've seen people fishing offshore. I mean, wading out fishing. So, but it's kind of like the Gulf of Mexico. I don't think it's I think it's shallows, out for at least 100 feet. But there's a little bayou there, and there's, it's a gorgeous little beach. Anyway, that's way off topic. But yeah, maybe.
Yeah, so I'll provide the 30% amount we have currently that she's working with.
Right.
And maybe ask how she is doing the outreach to the actual residents in Central Park, and then.
I think that's a good idea to do the email though. Like as I said, we'll probably think of other things, and then that way we can kind of communicate better on that.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have any new business?
Any new business?
On the agenda?
Oh, no. So you have the project reports. You have the project reports in your. Just so you guys can see, what's active. These are the reports that come from the commercial team and the project team. So these are the reports that I try to provide to you monthly or whenever it is we meet. So these are the items that are actively underway in Central Park for commercial and projects, commercial grants and projects. And then just to let you know, the CRP update that we worked on, it's been under legal review. Legal has just been slammed with so many agreements and review of items that it now is on the January 16th meeting. So the CRP update approval that Trent Green, Professor Green, and so USF, who updated the CRP, that's going to be on the January 16th agenda. So it's been a little delayed, but it's just because of workload with the legal team. That's for your commercial grants.
Yes, the one where
So you'll see on here, Meacham River Farm, Housing Authority for, the Bell, and then Johnson Brothers Homes.
we're actually about to get a little traction on the bill again. We've been, I wouldn't want to say, but we've been fighting with our architectural design group. But we've been waiting on our architectural design group to actually bring us the final specs on what that bill, you know, the platform, that.
Okay.
So we can actually have drawings, because now I'm speaking in housing authority, we have to have the drawings and we have to have a contract estimate before we can actually fill in the paperwork for that grant.
Okay,
And then, of course, we have to do that, as I understand it from that meeting with,
Andrea.
yes, Andrea. I think we have to do that. We have to actually submit our application for the grant before we submit
For
the
a permit. Yes, don't get a permit before
Right.
you get a
Which,
permit.
which I have a question that maybe you or she can answer. Is, okay, so let's say that maybe within the next 30 days, I actually get the plans, because that project will roll up under me personally. Now, the two houses will actually roll up under another PM there, and mine will be before hers, just because. So I got the plans, I got the specs, I've got the cost breakdown, I've got everything I need to apply for the grant. So I apply for the grant on, January the 1st.
Mhm.
Now, so I fulfill that. On January the 2nd, can I apply for the permit? Or do I
Not
need
until
to?
the approval of the grant.
So it's the approval of the grant, not the application for the grant.
Correct.
Perfect. That's all I needed to know. And roughly, if you were going to take a good guess, from the time you would receive the application on that grant or any grant,
Mhm.
is it a month? Is it 3 months?
Yeah, well, I remember on her paperwork, she
Yes,
had it,
she
she
had
had
some
it,
stuff.
she had it projected that if you submitted by this date, it would be this date and then this date, so it's there, so you could just stretch it out if you think you're gonna be January 1. If she didn't have a January 1 example,
Yeah.
you know.
I mean, really, not much happens in the construction world between Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Yeah.
Everything goes from not going fast enough anyway to going slower than that.
Mhm. Yeah, so she had that on the
Yeah.
memo or something, I
I was
remember.
looking for that a couple of days ago.
Yeah, okay.
I saved everything. I could probably find it. So these are all people that have applied for grants.
Yeah, or if have had discussions or consultations.
But they're aware of, like Fair Dex Publisher, that's one that kind of confuses me. 'Cause
Yeah, and I don't know where that one stands, because I've asked before on that one.
And what's the last one?
LD&D were the Miami developers
That's
that were in Central Park and downtown. And so they would only be asking for downtown funding, so it's now not a lead anymore. It's inactive because they're not asking for Central Park funding, it'd be downtown.
And I think Thomas just asked about the
Paradise.
missionary.
Yeah, and I don't know where that, it says lead if there was just a discussion. So it's not that
Okay.
they've applied for anything. It's just leads are just, if they've had I have not seen an application from them. They've not submitted anything. So I think that they just reached out to the grants team to inquire, and then it becomes a lead.
Because they were over, just for, I think everybody's pretty much aware of it. I know Travis is. I mean, they were over there kind of fixing this and putting over that crack and painting this and doing that kind of stuff.
They're active right now.
Pardon me?
They're active right now.
They're back?
Physically right now, yeah. They're
Okay.
working on stuff.
So, but I don't know what they're doing with the building.
Still
Because
don't know.
there's not much they can do with the building because it's landlocked.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know if, in other words, if they applied for a grant,
Yeah, I'll
would
ask Andrea.
would the CRA do research to find that out?
Mhm.
Because,
Sure they would.
yes, I'm
Sure they
reasonably
would.
sure they would.
Yeah.
Because it sits on a little corner piece of property
With no parking.
with no parking.
Zero parking.
And we would not be, Mr. Moore's position on that is very clear that we would not be involved in championing that at all.
Okay.
And then the farm has applied for a grant as well.
The farm is attempting to apply for a grant.
Okay.
And we're getting through all the complications of that. But yeah, we intend to apply for a grant for site improvements and things. We're working with the grant department, and they're helping us shape it. We're working with the school district, who is the owners of the land, and they have to do approval of anything that we do, but they're backed up from hurricanes, so it's moving very, very slow.
Gotcha.
We're intending to apply for a grant.
Okay.
In the near future.
Gotcha.
A lot of improvements.
And a side note, it has nothing to do with this at all. When we get done, let's check.
CAC member announcements.
Did we say what happened with Johnson?
They're going slower than the bell.
Oh.
Well, they did board them up, so that was good.
Right.
That was what scared me for a while. So I'm like, I want
So
nothing to happen
no,
like
we're
that.
still moving forward on the project. What we're doing is, to do a little bigger picture, all the way down the center of Encore on Ray Charles Boulevard, that was all one big folio number. So we engaged our attorneys to put it into each one of those pieces would be a different folio number. Because at some point in time, we're gonna put a piece, and not in the, not 10 years from now, but in the near future, we're gonna put a piece of monumental art, right where the old roundabout is on Ray Charles, when you drive up and down Ray Charles or across, is it Ranch Armwood? No, that's Hank Ballard.
Mhm.
I think Hank Ballard and Ray Charles, that intersection is the roundabout. And when you drive there, for whatever, you see beautiful plantings in there. Well, inside of those plantings are there as camouflage. There's a huge empty space, very large, physical empty space, where we want to put a piece of monumental art. Probably will, right now, the thought is maybe it's almost like a life-size Ray Charles and a grand piano, maybe a couple of other images, Ball Adderley, Ella Fitzgerald, and we're gonna use the city to do a call to artists to help us figure that out, because we're not artists. But since that was all on the same folio number as the church, which has the bell, and so it was pointed out to us well, if you apply for this, you can't apply for that. And unless those are all different folio numbers. So we had our attorneys go right down Ray Charles, and every block on Ray Charles median now has its own folio number. And so we're also doing the same thing for the Johnson Brothers houses. So because we can apply for, they changed it from back in the day when what was Jeff's last name? He went to
Burton.
Burton. When Jeff Burton, we kind of had a lot of verbal conversations, but nothing was ever really announced. So there's really two grants that we can apply for, if I understand it correctly. Actually, there's two smaller grants in our world, smaller grants that we can apply for both buildings. We can apply for, essentially, there's a list of things, but I say we can apply for a grant that would affect the exterior of the buildings, and we can apply for a grant that would affect the interior of the buildings. $50,000 a pop, I think. So, but if we split those folio numbers, then we can apply for those two grants for each house. Now, our plans have not changed on the houses. It just is taking forever and that's not my project. So, but I know that the PM that's assigned to is currently active on it. But it took our attorneys, I think, really until just a couple of weeks ago to get the new folio numbers.
Who is assigned to it?
One of our PMs, her name is Rosanna Dolan.
She's the one that got us over there.
She's
The
she's
video.
a short stature Filipina whose parents are from China. So she's Chinese Filipina. And she's a little, I mean, a little.
Has she worked on any other projects that you might know about?
She's got a desk. No, not that you would know about. She's only been with us 2.5 years.
Gotcha.
So this is like her first
Gotcha.
real project.
Is she gonna have the sensitivity to the history of those houses?
Oh yeah, she can't do anything that Leroy doesn't sign off on. So, I mean, she, thinks through it, comes up with stuff, then she goes to David Elonia, who initials, and then it goes to Leroy, who initials, and then we do whatever that is. But we're pretty sure, in other words, the usage or anything, from the exterior, it's gonna look like Johnson Brothers houses new. But I don't think we're gonna be changing the use of it or anything. We've also been involved in, there was an old alleyway in the back of the property. And so we thought, even our attorneys thought for a while, there's a 10-foot easement back there, that 5 feet would be us and 5 feet would be, I don't know if it was Mount Moriah, I forget which church it is, but one, either that or the,
St. Peter Claver.
thank you very much, St. Peter Claver, but I think it's Mount Moriah. Well, come to find out that whole alleyway is actually on their property. So what we're thinking about doing, because the Johnson Brothers houses are actually moderately close to Scott Street, they have deep backyards. So, in that time, so what we're thinking about doing is activating an alleyway in the back of not only the 2 Johnson Brothers houses, but, and this is not a top secret thing, we own all of the dirt on Scott Street from Nebraska down to the church, the little church.
Ebenezer.
What's that?
Ebenezer Church.
Yeah, to the other. So we own all that dirt. And what we're going to do is the 2 Johnson Brothers houses are going to be our focal point. And then from the Johnson Brothers houses down to the church, we're going to build period similar little homes. So it'll just be this little street of nostalgia. So we don't know for sure what we're actually going to do on the corner of Nebraska and Scott, which is where my old construction office was back in the day when we were neighbors over there, kind of. We keep talking, well, we could do this, well, we could do that. So we don't know what we're actually going to do with that piece of dirt where the gravel is right now. But starting with the Johnson Brothers houses down, those are just going to be a whole street of not look-alike houses, but period similar houses. So that'll be a very cool place. And then if we put the alleyway in the back, then people will have parking right behind their houses like you did in the old days. And the chatting points right now would be maybe we build little carports right out back of the house. So they come in, they park in their little carports, and then they walk in the back door of the house. So that part hasn't changed. And other things we chatted about haven't changed.
Does anyone online have any comment or anything that they wanted to discuss in this meeting? Speak now.
I think I'm good. This is Danielle.
Thanks for joining us, Danielle.
Ursula, anything that you wanted to discuss? Travis? No? David?
I'm good.
Okay. Courtney?
I'm good discussing.
I'm happy.
All right.
I have one question.
Yes, sir.
When's y'all's last meeting if you're being grandfathered out?
Well, this would be Danielle's for this group, but she's interested in applying to another CAC.
Mm-hmm.
And when we're checking on Thomas's term to make sure that if he has met his term or not. So this may not be the last meeting, so you might all still be together. Because you're going to still be ex officio for THA.
Yeah, that's fine.
And if you're interested.
Yeah.
And then you're new, and you're fairly new still, or?
Mhm.
True.
Yep.
Okay, because it's a 4-year total term. So
So we'll know more in January.
Yes, yeah. So we have no December meetings for the CACs. So this would be our last 2024 meeting, but we hopefully will all see each other again in January.
Yes.
And then Danielle will move to another CAC, we hope, because she's term limited. And because you've served beyond the 4 years, right, Danielle?
I'm not sure. I did. Let me turn on the camera. So I did 2 3-year terms with the downtown CAC CRA, and then I've done, I think, a 4-year term with this CAC CRA.
Okay, because that's the new policy that was approved last November, was 2-year terms, 4 years total. So if you think you've done the 4 years at Central Park, then we can look at another CAC.
Yeah, I think I have, because I think the last time I was going to term out, they said I could do another term, which would bring the 4 years. I think. Has it been that long?
No, it's crazy, right?
Time flies, we have fun.
I know, time flies, but I'm always looking to help, and I've got Transology now, so anytime you guys, need to call me back in for anything, please feel free to reach out.
Okay, thanks, Danielle.
Perfect. All right, we'll go ahead and adjourn this meeting then. Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas.
Next
Happy
week.
New Year.
Thanksgiving, Merry
Is this
Christmas.
supposed to be the
Thanks for joining,
Yeah,
everybody.
it's the holiday party, right?
Have
I
a-
do have a quick question.
I'm sorry?
Is there any way that I could get a copy of the meeting agenda?
Yes. Here, let me see if I can let me put it in, or do you want to if you want to type my name right now, my email, and just shoot me a reminder.
Yes, I'm ready whenever you are.
Okay, so it's Courtney, COURTNEY .ORR at Tampa Gov, that's GOV, tampagov.net.
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Thanks for joining.
Hopefully someone gets back.